Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about common mistakes that people make when they are tracking macros. This typically happens at the beginner level or when you don't have as much experience, but that's okay because we all got to start somewhere. We all got to learn from our mistakes. So we're also going to be talking about how we can prevent these mistakes from happening or fix them if they're already occurring. So before we get into it, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Mackenzie. I am a Core Perform CP Light coach, huge coffee enthusiast and oatmeal lover, just basic big foodie above all things. But I'm also very passionate about helping ambitious working women reach their health and fitness goals without having to add any stress into their already busy lives. So now that you know a little bit about me, let's dive in. So like I said, we're going to be talking about 6 common macro tracking mistakes. There are definitely more out there, but these are the most common that people do make. So starting with number 1, we have eyeballing. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you basically are just picking a piece of chicken, scooping out some peanut butter with a random spoon and saying, yeah, that's X amount of grams. No, the food scale is your best friend. You have to weigh the food, because the whole point of macro tracking is you have a set amount of macros for your body for your goals, and you need to hit them in order to get to the goal you want to achieve. And so eyeballing just kind of throws that out the window because you have no understanding of where you are at. You can think that that is 16 grams of peanut butter and put it into MyFitnessPal, but the results are only as accurate as the data that's input. And so if you want accurate results and you want to be able to adjust your macros in order to get to your goals in the most consistent and precise way, then it starts from the beginning, and that is tracking your actual food. Knowing the grams you need prior to weighing, and being exact in all areas. So that includes vegetables that you might not think you need to weigh because they inherently have less calories per gram. However, vegetables still have fiber. Fiber is very important to track. So we need to track that as well based on the amount of grams that you're consuming within MyFitnessPal or whatever other tracker that you're using, tracking app you're using. And as well with condiments, your girl loves some sauce. She loves a good condiment, love mustard, ranch, all of that. But we oftentimes will just drizzle it on or dip things in, and it just keeps adding up because most of the time condiments have carbs and fats, like 99.9% of the time. And so we need to make sure we're accounting for those. And what's very important when you are starting this is being very aware of, okay, how much is this food and what does that look like? Because eventually you'll start to get confident and start to easily understand and know what, like, you will be able to eyeball it at some point. It's still not going to be accurate, but it's going to be way more accurate than just doing it from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not always going to have your scale with you. You might go out to dinner. You might go to a friend's house on vacation or whatever. You're not going to whip out your scale. You're not. So you might as well get the practice in initially whenever you can, when you're at home. If you want to bring it when you're traveling, go for it. But the initial dedication and accountability to this process is what's going to help you in the long run when it gets to a point where you won't be able to have your scale anymore and you have no choice but to eyeball. But that initial practice of being consistent and being exact and weighing your food all the time is going to help you be more confident in how accurate you are when the time does come and you're going to have to, guesstimate. Next, kind of similar, generic measurements. What do I mean by that? Generic measurements are basically you pick up a medium avocado from the store and you log it into MyFitnessPal as medium avocado. Here's the thing, guys. Generic measurements are so subjective because the medium avocado you have might be 4 ounces, but the same one that the person who initially logged it into the app that you're tracking with might have actually had one that was like 7 ounces. So but you're both saying they're medium. However, that can be so messy and it can skew the results so heavily because depending on how many ounces that specific food is, it's going to have a different amount of grams and macronutrients in it, and it's going to skew your tracking either over or under your caloric goal. And there's going to be this very messy case of just like you're not being accurate, and like there is such a discrepancy between, you know, what is true and what you actually logged in. And so again, the goal is to be as accurate as possible. So we have to weigh our food. We cannot just guesstimate. We cannot just say, oh, it's a medium avocado, so it's probably this amount of grams. Like, that is not the case. Whatever you are consuming, weigh it. Next up, volume versus weight. So what do I mean by volume? That is when you measure with cups and spoons. So like a measuring cup or a tablespoon or a teaspoon or whatever. Weighing in volume is very ambiguous because it's super easy to overfill or underfill whatever tool you are using, as well as the fact that manufacturing companies all make these cups differently. The more you use them, the more that they wear and tear, and it might manipulate the shape. If you throw it in the dishwasher, it could, you know, increase the size. Case in point, it's messy and it's ambiguous, and you can be like 1/2 of a cup could be of oatmeal could be like 43 grams, it could be 37 grams. But if you're tracking 40 grams, like, okay, yeah, maybe you're off by a couple and whatever, once in a while, that's fine. But if you continue to do that, you are going to be over under your goals every day. And the more that happens, the less accurate you are, and you're not going to be working as hard towards your goals based on doing that. So the next one that is very similar is weighing raw versus cooked. Case in point, pick one, stay consistent. If you are weighing it raw, then you are logging it raw, okay? So what do I mean by that? You take 4 ounces of raw chicken, you weigh it, you go into your macro tracking app, and you literally type in raw chicken, and you put in 4 ounces. You literally have to log it that way and type it in, because what happens when we cooked raw food, it can either lose moisture like vegetables, which, you know, that's why your zucchini and your Brussels sprouts shrink when you put it in a pan or whatever, or they gain moisture like rice or oatmeal. That's why it expands, because you're adding in more water, and that's how it cooks, and that's just how it is. But the size and the amount is going to look different because it's going to grow or shrink. So like the amount is going to change, and we don't want to manipulate what we're logging in by a small mistake of weighing it raw but then putting it in cooked, because the amount is going to differ so much, and thus the grams are going to differ as well, and then it's going to skew what our actual tracking looks like. Okay, number 5, and definitely one of my favorites because your girl likes to have a glass of wine every once in a while, but also a very, very common question that I get from people is how we track alcohol. So something that is, you know, very common, commonly thought is that alcohol doesn't have any calories. We're not going to count them. It's fine. It's liquid. It doesn't matter. Well, that's not true, because the alcohol does have calories. It has 7 calories per gram. That's pure alcohol, by the way, not your margarita drinks, not your Long Islands. The alcohol in it, yeah, has 7 calories per gram, but the whole drink in and of itself is different because you have other mixtures in it. And so when we are tracking the pure form of alcohol, we are allocating to carbs and fat only. You're not sacrificing protein for alcohol. That's not happening. And so we know that for every gram of carbs, you have 4 calories, and for every gram of fat, you have 9. And so what you do is you take the calories in your pure alcoholic beverage and divide it by 4 for if you're going to track it as a carb. And then you do the same thing, but divide by 9 if you're tracking it as a fat. Now, if you have a mixed drink where you know you have like vodka and lemonade, you take the calories from the lemonade out of the equation, whatever calories you have left, then you divide that by whichever number is tied to the macronutrient you're tracking it to. So I will show you guys a little example. So say you have 200 calories of a drink. So say 2 shots of vodka on ice with some soda and lime. The vodka soda or the soda water has no calories, and the lime juice, we don't track that. So you're only tracking for the pure alcoholic form, which is the 2 shots of vodka, and you know that's 200 calories. So if you're tracking it as a carb, you're going to divide it by 4, so that's 50 grams of carbs. If you're tracking it as a fat, divide it by 9, that's 22 grams of fat. You can do both, so just divide the total calories by 2, so that will give you 2 sets of 100. You do 100 divided by 4 for the amount of carbs, and you do 100 divided by 9 for the amount of fats. And those are what you're going to log in to your tracker. Those are what you need to save up for or to implement within your tracking plan or your meal plan for the day to make sure that you are still hitting your goals. You can drink alcohol and hit your fitness goals. It is possible, trust me. And so segueing into our last one about how you should prepare for that within your meal plan for the day, or like your like how you're allocating your macros throughout the day, is preparedness. You got to be prepared, because if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Playing macro Tetris is unnecessary. It adds stress to your day that you don't need. Macro tracking provides structure, and it's supposed to help ease the process, not make it more stressful. And it's so easy to take 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of your day to pre-plan your meals in your tracker. Now, obviously, if you're gonna go out to eat one night, you might not know what you're going to get. So, work around that so that when you do go out to eat and then you put that in, okay, like I'm going to get tacos tonight. So maybe I should leave out some fats because we're going to get guacamole. There's going to be cheese. Maybe I need to eat a little bit less fat during the day so I can allocate it at night. But having those free meals, or like having those fun for your meals, that's a whole nother conversation. But at the end of the day, if you want to reach your goals and be as accurate as possible, then pre-plan it. And then it's so easy because you know exactly what you're going to be eating throughout the day. You don't need to worry about it. You don't need to decide. You don't need to play this Tetris games of, okay, I have 50 carbs left and 15 fat and 13 protein. Like, how am I going to fit this all in? No, that's too much stress. And cooking in bulk and meal prepping can help you do that too. If you cook your carb source, your protein source, your vegetable or whatever for dinner, and you portion it out throughout the week, then that's already pre-planned, and all you have to do is go in your fridge and get it. But make sure it's foods that you actually enjoy cooking and eating. And like the same was true with having those set meals. I have oatmeal every morning because I love it. I know how many grams of each macronutrient I'm getting with that. It's easy. I don't have to think about it. And boom, we are good to go. So to end this little video, I want to remind you guys that tracking macros will never be 100% perfect. It's impossible. It really, even the best of the best, even people on prep, like, it's not going to be 100% perfect. However, it is a great way to increase your awareness around your eating habits, portion sizes, and to create more objective data to work with as you continue to move closer to your goals. It is the simplest way to get to your goals because it's exactly tailored to you. Is it easy? Yeah, it can be. Can you make it harder? Yes, you can. The goal is to make it easier. So we got to really look into these common mistakes and recognize that we need to be exact. We need to weigh our food. We need to give ourselves grace, but also be consistent and be diligent in what we're doing if we are really dedicated to get to our goals. And prepare, guys. You got to be prepared, or you're just preparing to fail. You know what I'm saying? So if you have any questions, then obviously you can reach out to the Core Perform team. You can also reach out to me via Instagram at Kenzie_ElizabethFit. I'd be happy to help you guys, but I hope this is really helpful. And I look forward to the next video that I will be making. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and happy tracking.